White people, can we talk? What just happened? White people did it. And not all white people, but white people did it. In last week's presidential election, Hillary Clinton won 88% of African-American voters. She won 65% of Latino voters. She won 65% of Asian American voters. And frankly, Donald Trump's campaign knew they were likely to lose minorities by huge margins. The Trump campaign also knew that in order to still have a chance at winning the election, in order to combat their huge losses with minorities, they would have to really drive up, really spike the white vote. They would have to inspire the kind of white vote that you just don't even usually get. And so the end of the campaign in particular, they went right at trying to spike a particular kind of white vote. They went right at racial anxiety among white voters, and they did it in pretty explicit terms.
And we will keep radical Islamic terrorists the hell out of our country. And as I said, and as you know, we're not playing games. Yes, we will build the wall.
Her plan will import generations of terrorism, extremism, and radicalism into your schools and throughout your communities. We're reading about it all the time in Michigan, with large numbers of poorly vetted refugees coming into your state without your knowledge, without your support, and without your approval. Here in Minnesota, you've seen firsthand the problems caused with faulty refugee vetting, with large numbers of Somali refugees coming into your state without your knowledge, without your support or approval, and with some of them then joining ISIS and spreading their extremist views all over our country and all over the world. Honestly, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe. And everybody's reading about the disaster taking place in Minnesota. Everybody's reading about it. You don't even have the right to talk about it. You don't even know who's coming in. You have no idea. You'll find out. You'll find out.
That was the Sunday before the election. We spoke with the Minneapolis mayor just a moment ago about how she is planning in her city to resist the Trump administration on their deportation and their other immigration policies. But Trump really did also make that personal in Minneapolis. He went the weekend before the election to Minneapolis to try to get white Minnesotans afraid of the non-white people in their midst. Tried to get them afraid specifically of the Somali communities within that state. Donald Trump did not win Minnesota. And in Minneapolis, the same city where he was fear-mongering about the threat of Somali refugees, the people there decided to elect the nation's first Somali-American state legislator. Her name is Ilhan Omar. She's a former refugee from Somalia. She's a Muslim American, and she is now the Minnesota State House representative from her district in Minneapolis. Joining us now is Ilhan Omar, who last week became the first Somali American elected to a state legislature. Congratulations. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate doing that. I'm proud of your election because of what your community was sort of subjected to for national political purposes. Do you think that last-minute visit by Mr. Trump had an effect on your election?
It did. I think the results of this election is very disheartening. But I'm reminded that I won, and that creates a particular kind of hope and aspiration for people, and that in the face of despair and hate, we must continue to fight. We must continue to strive for the nation that we know we can be, for the state that we know we can be.
What I know of your district, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the person who you're replacing in the legislature represented your district for more than 40 years.
Yeah, 44 years.
Wow. So how has your district responded to your election? Obviously, it was going to be a big change regardless because of the person who was there before you was there for so long. But has there been unexpected things about the way people have greeted the news of your election?
Our district likes to think of themselves as a district that likes to make history. And so what we're enjoying is a celebration of what unity and diversity means. Granted that we have a huge population of East Africans, mainly Somalis, who live in our district. And there's been some hate that we've experienced because of what's happening with the national rhetoric of divisiveness. But we believe that we are strong and that forward together, we will come out of this as a stronger community.
I spoke with your mayor, Betsy Hodges, just a couple of minutes ago. It's the all Minneapolis night here on the Rachel Maddow Show. And I looked at the response that she put out and after Trump came and did that visit and was sort of inveighing against the threat of Somali refugees and immigrants. And she said, among other things, the Somali people of Minnesota and Minneapolis are not roaming our communities, Mr. Trump. They are building them. Minneapolis is a better, stronger place for having our Somali and East African immigrants and refugees in it. It's a privilege and an honor to be a mayor of a city with the largest Somali population in this country. Do you feel like there is a sort of leadership that's going to come from diverse communities, diverse localities like yours, like your district, but also like your city in terms of sort of giving people a way to think about what happens next here?
Yeah, I think what people forget, people like Trump who don't pay attention, what they forget is that in Minneapolis, when we came in the particular neighborhoods that we live in, crime was rampant. And because, of this new arrivals of community that was excited to find a sanctuary and looking forward to starting over for this particular new opportunity that they were receiving, crime has dropped lowest in our area in the history of South Minneapolis.
Because of the influx of families who have been building, who are there to build.
Yeah, and when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to college graduation rates, Somalis are on the top of the minorities in Minneapolis. And it's when we elect the first Somali into the state legislature as the first lawmaker, we have city council member who's Somali, we have school board members who are Somali. We are a strong fabric of the society and the makeup of Minneapolis. And it is the greatness that is of our nation when we remember that the new neighbors that we have that are immigrants are not that far away from the stories of our grandparents and great-grandparents who were immigrants themselves, and the contributions that they made to create this great nation. This is what we're striving to be, and this is what we're looking forward to being. And I know that love will ultimately trump hate. State
Representative-elect Ilhan Omar, it's a great honor to have you here. Thank you for coming and talking to us about this. Congratulations.
Thank you.